These are some of the consequences of Volkswagen emission scandal. Deaths. A peer-reviewed study published in Environmental Research Letters estimated that approximately 59 premature deaths will be caused by the excess pollution produced between 2008 and 2015 by vehicles equipped with the defeat device in the US. Health problems. Nitrogen dioxide is a precursor to ground-level ozone and may cause respiratory problems, including asthma, bronchitis, and emphysema. Environmental consequences. Nitrogen dioxide are also regulated as a pollutant for their contribution to acid rain and to formation of a visible brown cloud or smog due to both the visible nature of nitrogen dioxide. These are some government actions of some countries that they did due the problem. China. China's General Administration of Quality Supervision, Inspection and Quarantine announced the recall of 1,946 imported T1 subs and 4 imported Passat B6 sedans in order to fix the emission software problems. Germany. German prosecutors have launched an investigation against former Volkswagen chief executive Martin Winterkorn. Winterkorn has resigned over the scandal, saying he had no knowledge of the manipulation of emission results. In US, the EPA announced that should the allegation be proven, Volkswagen Group could face fines of up to $37,500 per vehicle, approximately US 18 billion in total. In the stock value, on 21 September 2015, the first day of trading after the EPA's notice of violation to Volkswagen became public, share prices of Volkswagen AG fell 20% on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. On 22 September, the stock fell another 12%. On 23 September, the stock quickly fell 10.5%, dropping below 100 euros to a record 4-year low before regaining some lost ground. Share prices of another German automakers were also affected, with BMW down 5.9% and the Daimler down 5.8%. In the immediate reaction, the Volkswagen TDI emission scandal has received widespread negative media exposure, with headlines fronting the website of multiple news gathering and reporting organizations. People. Despite the scandal, the majority of the people still have great faith in Volkswagen. Talking about politicians, German Chancellor Angela Merkel stated she hoped that all facts in the matter would be made known promptly, urging complete transparency. Michel Sapin, the French finance minister, called for an investigation of diesel-powered cars that would encompass the entire continent of Europe.
Last Friday, the EPA announced that some Volkswagen and Audi cars made between 2009 and this year were using a so-called defeat device to get around emissions laws designed to keep the air clean. But what does that mean exactly? Well, modern cars have dozens of computers inside them, and some of those computers help coordinate the functions of the engine for optimum performance while making sure that there isn't too much garbage coming out of the exhaust pipe. They've actually been working this way for several decades now. Basically, every part of a modern car's engine has a sensor or a controller on it, and these computers are reading in data thousands of times per second, making adjustments like the ratio of fuel to air that's going into the cylinders. These cheating Volkswagen and Audi models are diesels, and diesels have one more really important computer-controlled parameter, which is the amount of unburned fuel going into the exhaust. Now that sounds bad. It doesn't sound like you would want unburned fuel going into the exhaust, But in the case of a diesel, you have something called a NOx trap, which is a device that absorbs and traps nitrogen oxides that are pollutants that would otherwise go into the atmosphere. And the effect of that NOx trap is enhanced with unburned fuel. So a defeat device is a special program inside these computers that can make it look like the car meets emission standards even when it doesn't. Volkswagen had a problem on its hands. Its diesel engines were known for getting great fuel economy, but the NOx trap only works well when more fuel is being used. So the car would detect using this defeat device when it was getting an emissions test. It would use more fuel, make the NOx trap work well, emissions would be fine, but then you get on the road, the device turns off, you're burning less fuel, but you're putting as much as 40 times more pollutants into the atmosphere. But how the heck did the car know that it was being tested for emissions compliance? The EPA says it was a sophisticated system that checked things like steering wheel position, speed, how long the engine was on, and even the atmospheric pressure. In other words, there was no way this was accidental because the software was designed very carefully to detect an official emissions test. That's some pretty serious deception, and that's why Volkswagen is in such serious trouble. In fact, their CEO, Martin Winterkorn, just stepped down. So what happens next? Well, if you own one of the 500,000 diesel Jettas, Beetles, Golfs, Passats, or Audi A3s affected, the good news is that your car is still safe to drive. You don't have to put it away until Volkswagen issues a recall. But at some point, they're probably going to have to update the software inside your car, and when that happens, you might get fewer miles per tank. Lawyers are already gearing up for class action lawsuits, so owners might get compensated at some point in the future. But that's not going to happen anytime soon.